Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 19 of Lost in Translation Mon. I'm May,
And I'm Jay.
and this week we watched City Under Siege
Or break through the barrier, Zudomon Spark.
and Wizardmon's Gift.
Or perfect attack together, sparkling Angelwoman.
So on to obnoxious synopsis. So the first episode that we're going to watch this week is called City Under Siege in the English dub, or in the original version, it's Break Through the Barrier, Zudomon Spark. What do you think happens in this episode?
Wow, alright, that's doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, so City Under Siege, um, I'm going to guess that that is a massive misnomer. Like, whereas usually I would take the name and say, well, because it's called this, this is probably what it is. Um, the last episode we saw that Vampire Man was weaving some kind of magical power to like mist a border around the city. So a siege is generally like an army sits outside a city and starves them out and stuff. What I'm guessing instead is that everyone's trapped inside and can't get out, and it's them kind of handling that. So it's not a siege, but siege is a cool word that they use in the title. That's my guess. What was the Japanese one called?
It was called Break Through the Barrier, Zudomon Spark.
Uh, oh God. It's a problem because I don't know what a pseudomon is. My best guess would be that it's like it's the Mega Ikakumon that it evolves for whatever reason.
It's
And
not the mega, it's the perfect, or in the dub, ultimate.
right, that's what I meant. That's what I meant. And so I assume it's that, and it breaks through. It uses it breaks through the heavens with its drill, and it smashes through whatever mist wall it is and frees Odaiba from the evil vampire man. That's my best guess.
So what do you think Zudomon will look like?
Oh, this is a problem because, I would have just said strap metal onto this hairy walrus. And I can't cheat because he's not actually in the opening, I don't think.
He's in the English opening,
He
yes.
is?
Well, I can give you a hint. Zudon,
Yeah.
it means hammer thud.
God, maybe I just don't pay attention that hard, but wow, I have no idea. Um, uh, so my my best, again, I would have just said like take Ikakumon and just strap metal to him, a la Metal Greymon, Metal Guru, whatever. Then Guru stands up and is a werewolf, and also Togemon is not a cactus anymore.
Well, she blooms from the cactus's flower.
Yeah, kind of, but that's
Well,
not how evolution would
no,
work.
well, we see that in the evolution sequence that her orange hair that Togemon has is actually a flower, and Lilymon
Yeah,
comes out of
I know
that.
that, but I'm just saying that's as evolution, that's really dumb.
Well,
Especially because
it's not
other
evolution.
evolutions are, it's what it's called.
It's
It's what they do.
digivolution.
Yeah, we've covered that. That's a clever thing the English did. Um, but everything else is like, oh, you just strap metal to it. Oh God, it has to be a sea creature. Um, no, I've got. I want to just say that Ikakumon stands up and has a giant mallet. It probably doesn't, but that'd be awesome.
So, what do you think his attack would be?
Um, uh, uh, like ocean hammer or like sea sledge, something weird like that. Look, if his name is Hammermon, it's gonna be really, really hammer based.
Do you think it's going to be a good episode?
Um, I think, and you're gonna hate me, I think I'm gonna complain about the bad guy and his terrible plans.
You always do that,
I
though.
know, but I feel like this is gonna be an episode that invites it.
Whenever we have a bad guy, you just say, wow, this bad guy's so bad at being bad.
No, but I mean, like, not in a general sense. I'll be like, this plan he's got here is really stupid. Like this particular one. These set of events all went wrong because the bad guy made bad decisions. And that it does happen often, so that's a fairly weak guess. I get that. But again, the show doesn't know what a siege is. So,
Who do you think will be starring in this episode? Like, which characters?
well, my obvious guess was if it's Joe's Digimon that like digivolves, I guess Joe. Which you know what? It's about time. they were kind of setting it up last episode with like him in summer school and like failing and being pepped on to like actually pay attention to what's going on in the city. So I'm hoping that pays off rather
Well,
than,
he is the second last one to get to their perfect level. We're still waiting on TK.
well, Hikari's hasn't yet.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. I forgot about Hikari. Yeah,
It's just that it's in the intro.
yeah.
So yeah, that's those are my guesses.
Any other characters you think will be in this episode?
I mean, they'll all be there. I'm really hoping that this is a lot like the last one, where it shows like everyone trying to deal with it, and then at the end, it's Joe like rising above. But I don't have a lot of hope. My optimism, without having seen the episode, is always fairly low.
All right. So the next episode that we're going to be watching is called Wizardmon's Gift in the English version, and in the original Japanese, it's Perfects Attack Together, Sparkling Angelwoman.
I thought you weren't going to tell me that.
No, no, no. It's the next two that I'm not going to say
Oh, okay. Perfect attack together.
because we
That
already see this in the opening.
perfect attacks together is just a bit with Tiki, where Patamon evolves to perfect level, and there's two angels. All right, yep.
So is
That's
that what you think happens?
yeah, because I've seen it in the opening.
So you're sure that TK is going to get to his perfect level?
I would be really shocked if he did, but the title is so convincing that I'm sure what's going to happen.
So why don't they say Sparkling Angelwoman and uh, Mon yet to appear Mon, or angels attack
If his name
together?
isn't Angemon, what the hell is wrong with this show?
Well, we don't know. I guess we'll have to watch.
Anyway,
So
so I'm
which
fairly
which
certain it'll be. Um, I think that you're right. There's a pattern there, and they always usually go one at a time. But if there's ever going to be like a teamwork with
mm,
Angel, it could be Lilymon. I guess you've got the flying women. What was the first title called?
Wizardmon's Gift?
Oh, I mean that's nothing. That's absolutely nothing because it just tells us that he's going to do something that will make Gardamon evolve. So it's meaningless.
Do you like Wizardmon?
It's fine. His design's cool. He's too much like an exposition machine and not so much a character at this stage. Because he showed up out of nowhere and was like, "Hey, character who was mysterious, this is your backstory."
Huh.
And that character was like, "I was there. I know that." And he's like, "Haha, isn't it awesome how we're talking about your backstory?"
Do you remember that time that happened? Yep, I remember that time.
Because that's how natural dialogue works.
Basically. So do you think Wizardmon will actually have a big bit in the plot, or do you think that's just the English title?
Ooh, oh, that's tough. The problem is that there's nothing to go on from Hikari's crest name. LiT is meaningless. How, like, okay, you know what? Maybe sincerity or purity is really hard to like make to show, and
Mm.
she ended up being whining and crying, and that's what it was. But you know what is way harder? Oh, Hikari's holding a light bulb. I'm going to evolve now.
I think it's just like her glowing personality.
That's dumb.
Well, I always thought like
Especially because she doesn't have one.
yeah, especially in the English version, I feel that she's a bit of a Mary Sue character. Like definitely in the English version because she's just so
I mean, Mary Sue is a very particular kind of character that has a lot of very specific traits that people forget about. It's very self-insert, so you have to identify who the author was and why they put themselves in. It's very like everyone suddenly loves them.
well, everyone does like Hikari, and she seems
I mean,
very much perfect in the English version.
okay, I understand what you mean by Mary Sue. They're
Mm.
overly perfect, but it's a very specific term, particularly to fan fiction.
She also
And
sounds like an old woman in the English version because she's like very mature. She's 8, but she's not, she's not crying or
it's
like
funny because of all the anime characters that are legitimately played by old women, i.e., Naruto and Goku.
hmm.
Um, but yeah, I don't get a lot out of it. And you know what? I was gonna say, yeah, I know that they give individual episodes to Digimon when they're getting their perfect evolution, but I think they would screw over. Wait, hold on. We've already seen Angemon before.
We've
Does
seen Angemon before. No, it's Sparkling Angel Woman.
Yeah, yeah, but we don't need to have Angemon in the name because we've already seen him twice.
Yep. No, but you mean you're talking about Angemon's perfect level that you
No,
said might be in this episode,
oh,
didn't you?
I didn't mean that. I just
Yep.
meant Angemon. Okay,
Oh,
the two
okay.
angels. That, yeah, that's what we saw in the thing.
Yeah, like
Okay, there's no mystery
Angemon.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's unfortunate that it gives it away, but at the same time, who didn't see it coming? Which implies to me that like Patamon and Plotmon or whatever
Yeah.
are like cousins.
Well, maybe like I don't know. They're both like
How could they
animal
not
looking.
be perfectly related if they make just male and female of the same thing?
Well, I think it's said at some point in the series that Hope and Light are meant to be.
Also, I maintain, as far as I recall, looking at the intro, Angelwoman, religious thing, metal plate on face.
Yep. Basically, yeah. I never realized that before
Uh,
until you pointed it out. Like in earlier episodes,
yeah,
that everything holy doesn't you can't see their face.
I don't know why that is,
Maybe it's like to imitate the Pope's hat.
but it's on their face. How much cooler would the Pope's hat be if it was like a big metal visor?
Yeah, and if you had wings.
That'd be sick. No, I don't want the Pope to have wings.
Yeah, I never realized that like ongoing
Popodactyl.
theme. But do you think this will be a good episode?
Um, it's really, really hard to tell based on the nothing that is this. It sounds a lot like we're gonna have a massive amount of exposition from Wizardmon, or alternatively, really wild guess, really wild here. It's like a big battle with Vampire Man, and like Wizardmon sacrifices himself, and that inspires Gardevoir to evolve.
Would you like that? Like that seems
No,
really dark.
that's not even dark. It's just really lame.
Like it seems that seems like a really sad thing to happen because I like Wizardmon.
Yeah, yeah. So it's dark for sure, but it's the kind of cliched lame thing I would see kind of happening to inspire. But you know what? I want Wismon to stick around, and I want him to inevitably betray everybody. That'd be sick.
So do you think Wizardmon's the big bad?
No, I don't think that. I guess if you're evil, you kind of, and you're even reasonably powerful, you become that. But no, it just he's got this weird design where if he could be so evil if you just had him say evil stuff. And it's so weird how he just showed up being really nice out of nowhere. Like he's just like this minion who's doing stuff, except he's a nice guy for no reason. I don't know. There's lots of potential for him to do awful, awful things, but he probably won't. Again,
Oh,
like
I,
yeah,
I forgot a question from the last one. Like, well, we may as well address them both now. So it's pretty obvious that a Digimon evolves in this episode,
it's true.
and well, both these episodes. What do you think the evolution to Zudomon's going to be like?
Well, Tsunamon I didn't know would be an evolution. I guessed because sometimes they put a name in that means nothing, but because the thing was like positive compared to a siege, the idea is it's probably a good guy who evolves, which means it's one of the kids. Um, but what was the? Sorry, can you say that again? What was the question?
What do you think the evolution will be like? The activation of the crest.
Oh yeah. God.
Joe's crest is
Okay.
reliability in the
Okay.
dub and sincerity in the original.
My guess. Oh, I don't know how you do both because my guess was totally based on reliability, and it's so weird because it's not. They're so ephemeral and hard to pin down because I still can't figure out exactly what was going on with Mimi's. Like the Digimon goes, "You're your pure heart," and I'm still like, "No, it's not." It's because she's crying. Um, but I can't really figure out what I was thinking. What it would be is like he's out and there's like a big fight happening, and they're they're doing whatever, and they really need Joe. And just as they really need him, he gets a phone call from his mom, and his mom's like, "I saw the C you got. I'm so upset. Come home immediately. You got to study. You got to study all night." And then he's gonna look around. He's gonna see his friends and go, "No, I need to be here." And he's gonna hang up, and he's gonna like have his bigger responsibility to and like his friends and stuff. I don't know. It could be a whole thing. And
But
then
that's not very reliable to his mum, though.
no, but no, he's being reliable to his friends, and she's like I don't know.
But is that sincere?
Or alternatively, like he sits down and does a test and gets 100% and bam, evolution.
Yeah, evolves in the exam
It's
theater.
true, and like sincerity is what kind of breaks it for me. And to be honest with you, it's going to be exactly how it's been every other time, which is they're in a fight where it needs to evolve, and it evolves, and then they just kind of dance around why it was. He just had some thoughts, and he was like, I have to be there for my friends. 'Cause, again, what's sincerity? Um, and then he evolves, and it's like it's because you're so reliable, and then he hits something with a hammer.
What do you think about the evolution to Angelmon?
Again, I feel like Wizardmon's gift, having already done his narrative purpose of giving Gatomon like her memories back, is probably like to die and inspire them to evolve. Or it could just be magic. There's no reason it might just not be magic. He does magic, we've confirmed it.
Hmm. So, do you think it'll be a good episode with Mon's gift?
It's really hard to tell. If Angemon is there, actually, no, I was gonna say if Vamdemon is there, then it's obvious that it's gonna be like a story episode. But the last time he showed up was nothing, so he's now completely 50-50, which is useless. Um, no, you know what? I think we discussed it last time that this one is on people's top lists. So I think so.
Both of them are quite high on Digipodify's ultimate ranking.
Okay, so uh, I guess I just have to trust the information that I've been given.
Which do you think will be a better episode?
It's really tough. I'm gonna go with the Angel Woman one because Gaidamon's a newer character, and I'm not gonna have as much to complain about the way it evolves. Because at least LiT has the excuse of being meaningless, whereas reliability is probably gonna be really silly.
Maybe. We'll just have to find out when you watch the episodes then.
You're right, that's the stance every time I make these predictions.
Anything else to say about what you think will happen?
I'm just working on titles here, so I've really run through all my thoughts on it.
So, this week we had some Digi news. Yay! First of all, big Try news. It's been revealed that Try takes place 6 years after the end of Adventure, so what we're watching now, and 3 years after I almost spoiled 02, but 3 years after 02. So we know that 02 is canon. So yay! So that's a bunch of people are very relaxed now because I think a lot of people were worried about that. As I said before, I didn't really mind either way. But yeah, I'm happy that 02 is still there. But it also means that I'm not entirely sure if Jay and I will be able to cover it because it might be too spoilery for him, but I will cross that bridge when we come to it. The next piece of Digi News is that two of the mystery people from the second Try PV have been given designs and names and voice actors. So first of all, we have the guy that Ty was talking to is a part-time teacher who serves as a substitute homeroom teacher. So that explains why Ty was going or like he looked kind of grumpy. His name is Daigo Nishijima and he's voiced by Daisuke Namikawa, and we have a design of him. He looks like he's wearing a. He looks a bit like a conspiracy theorist to me because he's wearing like pink, what look like to be slippers, and a white lab coat, and brown shorts, and a shirt with a star on it. And the other character was the mystery person that a lot of people thought was Ken, and she's a mysterious woman who appears before the Digidestined. So her name is Maki Himekawa, and she's voiced by Yuko Kaida. And yeah, so I also became the first person in the world to cosplay her about 10 minutes ago. So yay me.
Just
Uh,
try hard.
yeah, Digimon try hard.
And you don't know that. You have no confirmation that it didn't happen like 5 minutes before you.
No, I know.
It's just a feeling.
Yes, I'm the first. But yeah, so yeah, I'm the best.
So lame.
So in addition to that, Toei announced that they will unveil a promotional video on Monday that will feature the voices of the main characters. So that sounds exciting. Depending on how big it is, we might have another special, but that's just how depending on how much of a big thing it is, and if we have much to say about it. It might just be in episode 20 we might talk about it for a few minutes, but if it's like we have a lot to say, we might have a special like we did for the last Try PV. So I believe that's it for DigiNews. Do you have any thoughts about 02 being confirmed for canon, the series that you haven't seen yet?
I have literally no thoughts about it because I have no emotional investment whatsoever in that series.
Do you have any thoughts about the two characters? Like now you've seen them and heard about what their type of character will be. And you've seen what they look like. Do you have any thoughts about them?
My primary thought is that it's interesting that you equate a lab coat with being a conspiracy theorist.
No, it's just that no, it's how the whole outfit doesn't go. I don't know why, but conspiracy theorist was the first thing that came into my head.
It is weird to be like a substitute teacher with the lab coat unless he's a science teacher.
Maybe it's because the other one kind of looks like Scully to me.
I
So it's kind
guess.
of like he might be Mulder and she might be Scully, but that's just me
You're
really
really
liking the
overthinking
gloves.
it.
But I think you might be right, in the special episode, how you said that she looks like a reporter or investigator because she does have that feel to her. And she's definitely not a kid. Like, she's definitely probably, I'd say in her 20s.
I mean, at a guess.
Yeah, maybe 25, maybe younger.
But
But
let's be
she's
honest,
definitely not in high
animated
school.
ages are difficult to understand,
Yeah.
like, judge.
Well, she looks about as old as Daigo. Isn't that really good Street Fighter player that is in Street Fighter moment number
32.
37
Oh,
or
37, yeah.
32?
Daigo Umahara.
Maybe he's just a really good Street Fighter player.
That would be very odd and specific, and I'd be all about it.
Yeah, it is 37.
I was wrong.
Evo moment 37.
Everyone look it up. It's amazing.
I'm gonna put that in the show notes just because it's just the way the crowd pops. I guess it might mean nothing to people who don't play like fighting games.
No, the thing that's amazing about Street Fighter Moment 37, or Evo Moment 37, is
Yeah.
that even if you don't understand fighting games, it's awesome.
Mm. So, do you have any thoughts about the female character, which is
Not
Maki?
really. I actually think that her design is kind of boring.
Yeah, but that's easy to cosplay. It means I could just grab things from my cupboard and cosplay her.
It is true, that does help. But
Like I
no,
literally just used my tie wig, even though
uh,
it's a bit slightly different.
yeah, I don't think anything about her stands out as particularly interesting, and I'll have to see if she does anything interesting first.
I will show you DigiWorld for this week, and it's suggested by me. And I'll send you the Digimon that I want you to react to. So this Digimon is called Bakomon. What do you think Bakomon would look like?
Wait, Bakemon? It's the
No,
ghost.
Bakomon. Bako. Bakomon.
Um, okay, the Bako. It's just B-A-K-O?
Bako.
A muffin? Like
Why a
baking?
muffin? Oh,
Bakomon? I don't know, that name gives no clues.
All right. So, are you ready?
Sure. Alright, got myself a little link here, Bakomon. And it is a very slow loading page. It's a box. It is, in fact, several boxes.
But it's so cute. It's got a little Christmas presenty thingy, and it's got duct tape for hands.
No, it's holding the duct tape in its hands.
There are different species of Bakumon too. They're in a Cross Wars episode, I believe.
It occurs to me that this is just a Pokemon.
No, it's not.
It's just a Trubbish, except in a different shape.
No, it's way cuter than Trubbish.
Like, oh yeah, it's definitely cuter than one. But what I'm saying is that like it just feels like a Pokemon.
But yeah, I sent you a photo of a few Bakumon so they can look different.
How are they not completely different species? Because we've established that if you're the same species, you have the same name, you look exactly the same. Hence, your villages of Piomon, hence your villages of Koromons, etc. They're all
Well,
precisely the same.
the other ones aren't really given names for memory. I don't think they are, but they might be like there's a different colored Betamon called Modoki Betamon, and that's just
Madokamon. So this is probably, you know what, at a guess, it'd be Bakomon, Bakemon, Bakemon. Oh, it can't be Bakare, damn it, that's ruined.
well,
It'd
there's
be,
already there's Bakemon and then there's Bakomon. No, not Bakomon, Bakumon.
what I'm saying is that these five should have just been all vowels.
Yeah,
You don't need to show me Madoki Betamon.
yeah.
It's
The
just a,
thing is, it's Modoki Betamon's like they turned up the hue a bit. It's a different. It's sort of like a bit brighter.
yeah, it's just a Gazemon is what are they called, yeah?
What?
I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter.
No,
Um,
Gizamon are different.
that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, Gizamon are orange and
Yeah, the one that looks the same.
they don't look the same.
Oh,
It
and
has like spikes instead of a mohawk.
I'm gonna take your word for it. I'm thinking of something else.
You're thinking of Betamon?
Maybe.
Because Betamon's just that.
Oh,
That's why it's called
okay.
Madoki Betamon.
What's Madoki mean?
Um,
Madoki Doki.
okay, Madoki means beetle.
Uh-huh. Well, beetles are green and have orange mohawks, so that they hit that right in the head.
Yep, confirmed. So, do you want to read the Gmail email first?
Sure. So we got an email at lostintranslationmon@gmail.com. And its subject line was Jay the Lopmon Emperor, which, if you want your thing read on the show, that is a good title to have. And they say, this is from, uh, oh my God, I can't pronounce that.
I think he told me how to pronounce it once, but I'm still not sure. It's like
Okay, it's
Titel, I think.
Lix, it's Lix Lil Xot
Those are eyes.
Shitzen.
Like the first thing is an eye. I think it's
Oh,
Ixil Kodshitz
Ix
and
Ix Lil
Ixtil.
Cross Ox Chitzen. Oh,
It's
Ochitzen.
Edgar, who is Edgar on Twitter. We chat. He's
Okay.
great.
They say, I think the line of questioning where the Digimon's bullets come from is a bit misleading. I mean, why question that and not where the energy bolts come from? How does the white rabbit talk? How does its lungs expands? How does its lungs enable speech? Its mouth? How do Digimon breathe? Some don't even have noses. How do the kids breathe in the digital world? And as Prodigious so wonderfully introduced, do women menstruate in the digital world?
Which
Um,
they don't. If they don't eat, they don't. I think it's the same sort of rules.
um, well, I guess we can cover that on a few things. I mean, first of all, you have to ask yourself a question. I'm going to address this last one about the menstruation, I guess, eating and all that stuff. Is that the idea that their bodies are in digital world is always in question, I think, because we are aware that 6 months in the digital world is like 2 minutes in the real world. So it is possible that you could go your entire lifetime where you age to death before a month actually goes by, as a possibility. I don't know. Although I guess that possibility would also lock you into menstruation forever if you enter the digital world that way, and that would be
Oh
gross.
God, please no.
Um, and as to the question of of what's the difference between bullets coming out of these Digimon and like an energy beam, is that it's the difference between creating energy and a conversion of energy into a blast. And that makes sense. It's a really classically understood idea of like a dragon breathes fire. Okay, it has internal mechanisms to create fire, and it goes. Or, you know, they channel energy and they throw it in a Dragon Ball Z-esque kind of way. Um, but the creation of matter is a really different thing. A missile is a very complex, like, uh, machine, and for whatever reason, Ikakumon can generate them. And yeah, I understand the desire to say, well, an energy beam is the same, but it's so different from just the general projection of energy to the manufacture of an object. And so it's understandable to eat food and turn energy into just another blast, but to turn it into a missile or bullets. I mean, honestly, I'm already weirded out by them having armor plating when they evolve for no reason, but they have an endless supply of bullets. And yes, I understand that addressing it as a fantasy setting does kind of solve that, but I don't think that that's what the art style allows. I don't think that when you introduce modern weaponry, such as a missile launcher, such as a minigun, or any of that, or your dinosaur made out of guns, I don't think the setting any further allows you to just hand wave it away without at least asking the questions. And as to how the things talk and how they function, I mean, that's all internal, and you can at least kind of guess because they were created digitally. And as to breathing, they probably don't need to, again, because they're digital constructs. The likelihood is that if you stuck, say, Patamon underwater forever, it would be fine. Because I don't think, do any of the Digimon ever, are they ever in any kind of threat of drowning? Like, Ikakumon can swim really well, but none of them can ever drown, right?
I think that they might have lungs that breathe oxygen.
It's possible, but if they don't need to breathe in the digital world, why would they need to breathe in the real world if they're still digital?
I don't know.
I don't think they do. Although, if they're ever actually in danger, then I guess I would be wrong. But in my experience thus far, I don't think they need to breathe. And then they say, I believe what gets Jay's that this show seems like a science fiction show, but it's not. It's very much a fantasy show with science with a sci-fi aesthetic. But it's a fantasy show. How does Harry Potter use magic? What's their algorithm? Neil deGrasse Tyson would love to question Dumbledore's science background, and I understand that. But again, you've introduced sci-fi concepts, um, and they justify it. The thing about magic is that you go in with the understanding of this overarching idea. It's magic. Don't worry about it. But this one is like, it's all happening inside computers. This is where it is. We're trying to reason it all out to you. These things are viruses. This is where it all comes from. And once you start entering into this explaining game, that's a science fiction. That is science fiction. And just because saying it's fantasy hand waves things away makes it easier doesn't make it true. Uh, or saying it's fantasy and hand waving it doesn't make it true. It is absolutely a science fiction show because it enters into the explanation discussion and then it introduces further elements that make no sense. And yeah, those it's not even a criticism. Those points aren't relevant to the show. I understand that. I just find it really interesting that you've got a character designer who sits down and goes, I could have it breathe fire. I could have it shoot energy beams. What I'm going to have it instead is its chest is going to open up and its nipples are going to be massive catfish missiles. And I'm going to have them shoot that at the big boxing cactus. Like, that is what the designer sat down and said to himself. And I think that's really interesting and probably a very poor decision, all things considered.
I think they look cool.
So, the last thing, no, there's actually quite a bit left. This is a very long email. So they say it's sad to hear Mrs. J didn't like the first half of Digimon, though they agree it's highly flawed, but still enjoyed it. That's why they advocate a total remake of Digimon without stripping it of the Digimon like Summer Wars. The broad strokes of the show are really good, and a streamlined remake can really bring out their potential. It's a shame whenever we ask about anything past adventure right now, since Jay can't answer and May can't either, to keep the control experiment pure. Luckily, we have enough to discuss with adventure, and that's true. Obviously, I lock us out of a good deal of discussion, but I think that might be worth it when we get there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Because in the episodes where there's not much changed, we can still talk about Jay being the this being new thing to him. Especially when in the second episode, I don't think we'll talk much about the differences, but I'm sure Jay will have a lot to say about what he thought of the episode as someone who was new.
So, also, there's a second email from the same sender. Because it was sent to a wrong email address originally. If it actually got to somebody, then to them I apologize. And it says, "Can I just echo the sentiment that Jay should be should become an evil overlord? I can imagine an evil little Lotmon taking out the children and then singing karaoke with Edamon. To be fair, I have to agree, Edamon really had those kids on the ropes. I just wish that they had done more of that with Myotismon. Because according to Jay, if Myotismon really wants to get the 8th digit destined, he should really be murdering every child he encounters.
Which
I guess
Phantomon said would be a good idea, like in the first episode. What she's like, well, I hate to argue with him, but I just think it'd be the best way just to kill everyone.
There are two ways to interpret the email here, which is A, yeah, kill all the chosen children, and B, like, you're after the 8th child. You know they're a child, that's all the information you have. Literally kill every kid in Odaiba.
Well, Vamdemon says he's like, well, he hints that he's pretty much going to eat the children.
Yeah, I don't, but he doesn't.
Yeah, but he says he's going to. That's
Oh
the thing.
no. Um, so I guess the writers didn't put enough limits on to Vamdemon. Such a shame Jay's not liking my Otismon. In the email, you switch between Vamdemon and Myotismon. Um,
That's because I
but
switch between Vamdemon and Myotismon, to be fair.
but
Like, it
what
just happens.
but what can you do? No nostalgia to cloud Jay's judgment. But I think he would have still felt the same, even having watched it. As for Wizardmon not being a Digimon, uh, apparently I'm not wrong. They're from Wichelny?
Witchenly, it's from a VPET that I really want, but it's really hard to find. It's called Magical Witches, and they open up like little books, and they connect with each other, but each there's like different versions of magical witches for each like clans. There's like a blue clan which is water, and I know I really want one like really badly. I've wanted one for a while because I saw someone on Tumblr with the one, and I just said I want one. But yeah,
Apparently, it's an alternate dimension full of digital wizards.
yeah,
Also, to sate my bloodlust, they suggest a show called Shadow Star, which is very similar to Digimon and Pokemon, except with apparently a lot of brutality. And I appreciate the suggestion, um, and I appreciate the image of the Lotmon murdering all these kids, which is pretty good. What was it? I think I've covered everything here. It's a very long email.
yeah. It's good. I like it. Well, I just looked up Shadow Star, and like the cover seems to have a little girl like with a gun pointed at her face. All right.
Fantastic. That's exactly what I want in my media. Okay. Oh. Oh. Hello, Persona.
Yeah, it does look a bit like Persona.
Okay.
All right. So on to the other messages, which I need to find. There they are.
Good job.
All right. So first of all, we have one Anonymon on Tumblr, and they've asked, how long has May been trying to learn Japanese? So this is a complicated question because first I went to one primary school where I learned Japanese for 1.5 years. So that was prep and grade one. They basically just sit you in front of like Studio Ghibli movies. So we watched My Neighbor Totoro like 10 times or something. And you learn colors, and like that's about it. Then I went to another school and learnt French, which we did nothing. We just cut and paste things. No, didn't learn any French except for like I don't know, le cut, le paste. And then I went to another primary school and learned Japanese in grade 5 and grade 6, where we basically just learnt how to read hiragana. And then when I went to high school, I learnt it from year 7 to year 10, where year 7 and 8, we basically just learned how to read hiragana and katakana and how to introduce ourselves. And then in year 9, we learned more about how to introduce ourselves, like have a more in-depth self-introduction, and and then in year 10, we learned how to order food. Or also in year 9, we learned that. So that's not a very, I don't count that as learning Japanese because it's not intensive. You're not really doing much. You're just being told this is what this means. Like so, I went to Japan with the school on a school trip, and basically I was really good at ordering food. Not good at anything much else, but I could read Japanese, but I couldn't interpret it. So now I'm sort of like teaching myself to actually speak Japanese, and I'm doing that by playing Japanese games and reading that way because I think that would be a better way to motivate myself than to, sit down and study because yeah, I think I'm motivated by playing my Digimon game. I'm playing Anno Tame at the moment. And I can, I'm understanding some of it. It's good so far. I like it. But yeah, so that's the answer. So I'm sorry I don't really have a straight answer for you because like it's not really, it's been like on and off learning, and like as I said before, I don't count any of the learning that I did in primary and high school to be actual learning Japanese because I mean, I've retained basically all of the knowledge there, and I did learn like 50 kanji, I'd say, and I've retained all that knowledge, but I don't say that's really learning so much as being told, and now I'm actually learning it.
I don't I don't know anything about Japanese except like the couple words you eventually pick up over anime.
Yeah, like sushi and itadakimasu.
Ah, yes, sushi. Wait, no.
Oh God, I hate. Okay, so there's something that really annoys me, which is how some people say sushi. They say it's sushi, and I don't know why they say it.
I, for the record, I said that just to annoy you.
I know,
Good, good. It's good. It's
but
important that you know.
I do have a funny story about how I went to Japan. So when you sit down to eat a meal, you say itadakimasu. And if you eat a meal on a train or wherever and you say it, someone will say, "Hai, so desu." And that means, yes, go ahead. And after a meal, you say, "Gochiyo-sama deshita," which means, thanks for the meal. And so when we were doing this at a school, one of the kids in my grade said Gosojin sama, which means master. So instead of him saying thanks for this meal, he said master, like kinky master. But yeah, I find that really funny because all the kids just basically shat themselves laughing. And that's my story. Yay.
Fantastic.
All right, so on to With the Will. I've lost my notes again. I just recently switched over to taking my notes in Evernote, so I'm not really used to having them in Evernote. So the next one is from On With the Will. It's definitely Jeff who says that he enjoyed the battery racing at the end. It made it very exciting. I'm glad. I was so worried that it would come across as, a bit how you going, like not very good when I was editing, but it actually came across as fine. So that's why we didn't like re-record it. I'm on 38% battery life, which should last us through this recording. Because last time I was on like 20%
I
at
mean,
this time.
ideally.
Chuck Mon with the Will said the race to the finish was funny. May, you missed a perfect reference to Batterymon. No, there's not much info on him, and then Chuck Mon links the Batterymon page on Wikimon, and says that he's basically just a low battery warning on the crossloader toy. And yeah, I know that because I do have one, and I love Batterymon. I just wasn't thinking about him because I just wanted to get my battery to not die and to finish the recording. I think there's something similar on the Tamagotchi color V pets, like the IDL and the P's and the 4U, but I can't quite remember. It's not exactly Batterymon, but it's the same sort of like battery that looks upset. Um, next from With the Will is Fexmiev, who says Sora's hat is Schrodinger's hat. It's soft and hard at the same time until you observe it. Something I was thinking about is the moment the Tailman goes from being evil to being good, she becomes a damsel in distress. And this, like, I thought about this. I'm like, wow, I never realized that. But yeah, she kind of does. She gets captured immediately. But
Well,
yeah,
I mean, in a story sense, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah,
Like, you were in close proximity with the bad guy, and when you were on his side, of course he didn't commit violence against you. But the moment you turned against him, it makes a lot of sense that he starts to commit a good deal of violence towards you, and you become in distress. Um, I could see the writing being done in a different way, where you write it so that she turns and she just is fighting the whole time, but it's established that he's more powerful than she is, and
mm.
the
Which
whole
makes sense because he's a perfect level and she's only an adult level.
yeah. Although
Also,
she
we
has single-handedly fought perfect levels,
yeah,
so we know
and
that's
we
irrelevant.
but we also see that Vamdemon can single-handedly like fight a bunch of perfect levels, so he's obviously a stronger than normal perfect.
Yeah, so it makes a lot of sense that you'd become in distress if you fought him.
Mm.
It does suck, I agree. The damsel in distress cliche is a bit rough, but also this was the 90s, so it wasn't quite as rough back then.
And then Fexmith then says, May, how do you end up planning to deal with Try for the podcast? Are you waiting? Are you going to wait until Adventure is done before watching it with Jay? Are you able to resist to talk about it up until then? So, as I said earlier, I'm now we know that 02 is canon in it. I might have like I'll watch the first episode before I watch it with Jay, and if it has anything super spoiler about 02, especially at the end, I won't be watching it. I won't make Jay watch it until the end of 02. Um,
So the
originally, if 02 was going to be retconned, we would have met because we would have just covered Try as it comes out because we will be. I think we should be done by Adventure by November, but not the whole like including 02. Um, so yeah, I'll either like find another person to do Try with, or we'll wait until we're done with 02 to cover Try. Like there's 6 movies, so we're not. I don't think we know like the whole like how often they'll be out. But if we have to wait for it till after 02, we will. If I have to find someone else to talk about it with me who has seen 02, I will. Depends what Jay wants as well.
the likelihood is that it will come out, and May will scream,
Yeah.
or send me a message that is 90% A's for a full page, and then uh then she'll watch it and she'll go, it was really good, and just scream more, and then I'll go, so what happened? She'll go, I can't tell you, and then it'll repeat like that every time an episode comes out, and then in I don't know 2 years I'll finally be allowed to watch it.
No, not like I think we should finish like 02. Like I haven't put the actual maths in, but like when we started Adventure in April, and we've missed 2 weeks,
Hmm.
so it's only taken us like 5 months to almost finish Adventure. So
We're slightly over halfway.
if we yeah, so we say like 7 months per season. Like we should be done with 02 by like mid next year, I'd say, depending on like how if we miss any more episodes, and like it's all very dependent on stuff.
Okay, so
But
at the end of next year,
like yeah, well, eventually we'll be done with 02, and then we can get on to Tamers. Yay! But yeah,
the
it all
promised land.
depends. Yeah, it all depends. Yeah, the Promised Land. You'll like. I'm pretty sure you'll like it. It's got cards in it. You love cards.
I'm a fan of cards.
Yeah. Well, okay. Imagine if Magic the Gathering became real one day. That's Tamers.
Except there are characters in Magic that I care about.
Well, the kids care about Digimon like you care about Magic.
I understand that. There are lots of people who care about Barbie dolls the way I care about Magic, but I don't care about Barbie dolls as a result.
And then you made your own Magic OC, and your Magic the Gathering OC became real.
I'm okay with that.
And you were like best friends with your Magic the Gathering OC.
Did we try to take over the world? I don't know why we wouldn't.
You would though, because it'll probably be like a cross between your Magic the Gathering OC would be a cross between Nicol Bolas and Jace, so probably. Anyway, so the next question is from Thunderdramon, and he says, I think it's a he. So they say, so that bit with Phantomon had me downloading the dub background music. Thanks a lot, you two. With that, I got a question. If you can remember, what's your favourite music from the dub? Soundtrack should be easily findable on YouTube or something like that. So I'm happy because I already had my answer when I saw this, so I was kind of like, yay, but I listened to other ones just in case. So I was stuck between two. My first one is called Heroic Theme, and whenever I hear it, I just feel like something like really good's gonna happen. Like oh, this is something amazing. This is something important to the plot. This is pretty cool, and it happens in a certain part in something we haven't seen yet. And it's just like, oh, this is so good, and you know that it's cool, and like it's really well, like I want to say choreographed, but that's not the real word because it was already animated, but it's the music suits the time where this thing happens.
I have
It's
no
really good.
I have no complex reason um, for picking the one I did. Basically, I loaded them all into my music player and I just let them go. And then when one of them caught me and I had to kind of look up from whatever I was doing, that meant that it was the best one.
And what was yours called again?
Phone tag,
Yeah.
which may or may not exist.
No, it exists. I found in the playlist I sent you.
Ah, great.
The other one of mine that's my favorite is called Optimistic, and whenever I hear it, it's like it kind of reminds me of the happy part of the Jurassic Park theme song, but even though it's nothing like that at all. But it just it seems so carefree, and whenever we see it, it's in a situation where the kids are happy, they're at home. I think one of the first times we hear it is when Sora's thinking about how lucky they are to have their Digimon, even though in the Japanese version this is her saying, how can I ever get close to my Digimon? She's so different to me. We're never going to get along. So they kind of put it in a part that's a bit depressing, but they changed the tone of what she was thinking to something happier, and it suits the music. So yeah, those are my answers.
Are we playing the songs at all?
I'll be overlaying them when I edit them.
Ah, I see. Cool.
Like softly in the background while we talk about them.
Nice.
Yeah, I think I said that when I linked you.
I don't remember. I don't come to these production meetings you keep talking about.
Alright, so now we can actually talk about the episodes. So, episode 36 starts where we left off. Lilymon is fighting with Myotismon, and she gets frozen by his attack. Then Bergermon comes along and rescues Lilymon and Sora, and leaves Sora's mum and Mimi behind instead of just grabbing Sora's mum and Mimi, which I think she would have had enough room for because she did just pick up Lilymon as well. But never mind.
Hey, you don't need Mimi if you got Lilymon. Already
Yeah,
served her purpose.
Lilymon's the important one. But yeah, so Taichi and Yamato are talking about um Vamdemon, and Hikari comes along and says, "Oh, it's all my fault." And
So
in the
in
yep,
English she's way whinier.
yeah,
Like in Japanese she's like, Is this my fault? Man, I'd feel really bad if it was my fault." And in English she's like, "It's all my fault."
yeah, they did sort of overplay it. So then in the original, Taichi says, "Don't worry, it's not your fault. It's Vamdemon's." And then, but in the English version, he's like, "Don't worry, it's destiny." So he's not saying it's not her fault.
I love that.
It's destiny that it's your fault.
Don't worry, kid, it's destiny.
And Tai seems a lot less serious. Like he's making jokes. He's not really taking it. And we'll even get your little cat friend too. Like he's not. He doesn't seem very sincere or serious about the situation. But Taichi's like, "Don't worry, I'll protect you. You can leave it to me. I'm your big brother." Like he's more of a leader. Like he feels better than Tai. Also, when they run off in the dub, for some reason, they made it sound like that they fell over when really they were just going downstairs. Did you
It's
notice that?
it's really weird that Matt's a better leader as well because he's better with like a little kid because it's it's the canon that he's awful with kids. Like he's bad with TK.
But
That's
he
the whole
makes her
deal.
cry earlier. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, later. He makes her cry because, like, she says, "Oh, tell me that everyone will be okay." And he's like, "Well, I guess Taichi's only one person." And then she starts crying. But this is, like, later on.
I'll keep. Is that in this episode?
What?
Is that in this episode? I don't
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, it's before she gets kidnapped.
God, Kari in English is awful, especially in episode 2. They change her to be worse, but it's not Mimi bad, but it's still pretty bad.
Yeah, they make her kind of. I think I've mentioned this before, but, like, she I think they try to make her much more mature than she actually is, but they also make her slightly whinier and a bit sort of they try to make her too special. They try to make her more special than she already is. Like she has the crest of light. That's already special, but they try to make her even more special. They try to make her wordier. They think they try to make her a bit smarter, but she doesn't have to be smart. Like I mean, she's not dumb.
Quote May, 2015: Women don't need to be smart.
No, I mean, no, she doesn't need to be smart because she's 8. Like, no one's expecting her to be like, she's just a normal, like, 8, besides being special, having the crest of light. In the original, she's a pretty typical younger sister. But in the dub, they make her wordier, they make her a bit sassier, I guess. They try to make her, like, I don't know, specialer in how she acts. Like, they don't make her act like an 8-year-old. Like, they kind of make her sound like an old woman.
I
I mean,
guess so.
not the voice, but the personality.
Hmm.
So then Koshiro gets an email from Genai, and he's instructed to set up a digital barrier so that the Bakemon can't see them from the house. The original Genai says, "Oh, you have to transfer it to another computer though, because this is a program that I've already installed in your laptop. You have to put it on a big computer." But this isn't explained. It just you have to download this app that I'm sending you.
Let's be real, this is a really confusing moment for the episode because the title is called Break Through the Barrier, and then Izzy's the one who makes a barrier,
No,
apparently.
I think the fog is the barrier
No,
though.
I understand. That's what I always thought as well, and they refer to that in the next episode. But at this stage, the implication is that the barrier, because this is the only barrier that's mentioned in the episode so far, is this one that he's making now.
Mm. But it's also kind of the barrier because it's stopping all the water buses.
Yeah, yeah. But at this, all I'm saying is that uh, this as the first time that barrier is mentioned in the episode is called Break Through the Barrier, it has this weird positioning where it sounds like they're all going to be assaulting his house.
Yeah. Well, I still think that it's Myotismon's thingy.
Well, yeah, I do too, and they confirm that later. Not in this episode, like the next one. They never
Oh yeah.
mention it in this one. It's weird. Anyway,
No, but would they mention it when they're talking about the water buses not being able to go? I think.
not as a barrier, they just say they can't go.
Yeah, but I always interpret it as a barrier. But so then we see that Takeru and his mum are at the place with the water buses, which I don't think they're really called water buses. I think they're just called ferries in the in the English version. And in the original, Takeru's mum is wondering what'll happen because the water buses aren't running. But in the dub, she's just saying, "Wow, I have a bad feeling about this crowd."
Yeah, well, crowds are pretty awful. Wouldn't want to be in one.
Yeah, like maybe she's just feeling anxious because she's not. She's like saying, "Oh, there's lots of people here. I wonder why there's so many people here." I guess I think that's what she's saying anyway.
But yeah, and there's, it's a danger to the kids, and
Yeah.
it's a reasonable thing to be concerned about.
So then we go back to Koshiro, and his mum's trying to pull him off his computer, and she seems a lot like stricter and sterner in the dub. Like she's saying, "Come on, you have to leave this instant." But in the original, like she's just very pleading and soft. She's saying, "Come on, we have to go," which I think is fine. Like I don't know. I like the way she is in the original. I don't know why they had to make her strong. We already have a strong. We already have the strong mum. Can't we have the the pleading we have to go one? Also, she's distressed. I don't think she wants to yell. And so Koshiro's dad says that they have to have faith in him, but in the dub, he just says, "Oh, the kids seem to have much more of an idea than we do," and this is instead of we should have faith in him because this is what we always do. So then the Bakemon break through, and they can't see them, and then Tentomon starts talking, and Izzy's mum faints.
Yeah, in these episodes, we had this really nice thing. Well, it's something that I appreciated anyway, which was that the parents were a lot more reasonably surprised. Because in the last episode, everyone seemed kind of too
Oh,
okay.
the mum was not. The Ty's mum, she was like, "Why are you on the dinosaur? Get down off that dinosaur." Well,
Not
there's
the
like there's
dinosaur.
also talk about why Matt's dad's so okay with this, but I'll explain that later on in the series.
Right.
But yeah, do you have any more comments about that part?
No?
All right, so on to the so yeah, Talmon is going through all the children, and Myotismon says you have to choose which is the eighth child, and if you lie to me, I will kill all of them. But I think in the English version, he just makes us like a snide comment
Yeah, yeah, child murder.
because child murder is not cool with the English crowd.
Except it should be cool with this vampire man.
Well, he does say he wants to eat them in the Japanese version.
He does do that.
Yeah, a lot. So then Joe finds Takeru. Goemon evolves to give them a lift to Odaiba, and Takeru's mum's looking for him, and she says it's dangerous. Get off. So then in the original, Joe introduces him and say, "Oh, don't worry, I'll take care of your son. I'm in the sixth grade. This is my full name. You can trust me. I promise that I'll get him back safe." So that ties into his crest. But in the dub, he's like, "Don't worry, I was in his the same woodworking class at camp. He almost chopped off one of my fingers though, but don't worry, it's all right."
Just chill out. It's totally cool. Um, this is at the stage I've started guessing. I'm like, how do you think they work the how do you think they work the reliability into the evolution? Is it because I don't know, he is it because like he's looking after a child, he's reliable? Is
Yeah,
it possible that that's it? Um, and yeah, I was making a lot of guesses at
yeah.
this
Well, that's
stage.
that's fair enough. You meant to, especially in the Japanese version, it straight up like links that to his crest. He's saying, "I promise that don't worry, you can rely on me. I'll make sure he's okay. I'll get him back safe. I'll take care of him." Also, I want to point out something. When TK like says goodbye in the English version after he just said, "Yeah, I almost chopped off one of Joe's fingers," he says, "Don't worry, I'll bring Matt and Dad back home before dinner time." And I'm like, did the dub forget they were divorced?
I didn't
Because
catch that at all.
that's just, I had to pause and rewind and say, did he just say, like, is he just saying, oh, don't worry, I'll be back before dinner time? No, he says, I'll bring back Matt and Dad for dinner time. So, all right.
Incredible.
So in the Japanese version, she just sort of says, "Oh dear, please look after the children." And I think this is talking about Yamato's dad and Tekuru's dad, I guess, to say, "Oh, they're going over there. I hope he protects them." But in the dub, it's actually really depressing because she says, "Oh no, now I've lost all of them." Like I guess referring to the divorce. So maybe the dub didn't forget that they were divorced.
Maybe. Although I guess they're all just all in Odaiba and they're all in the fog. Although I have to wonder if the mom would be quite so resistant and like to letting them go if Patamon evolved and she was staring right at Angemon's abs.
Because yeah, Angemon's kind of a babe.
And she's like, okay.
But
Uh,
he's only evolved like at this point he's evolved big twice.
actually, the kids can go. You have to stay here.
Yeah, please stay here and look after me. But yeah, so then we go back to there's a lot of like character switching. Like they switch through the characters a lot because I
Yeah,
guess they're separate.
it's really fast, and it occurred to me that also they're very far apart and they're all in different places, and it was actually hard to get a sense of where everyone was.
Yeah, and they're all doing something that's relatively important. So Koshiro's going to go out and find the others. So then his mum says in the original, please promise me that you'll come home back to us safe. And that's fair enough. But in the dub, they kind of make this cute, corny moment where they said, "Oh, you've grown so much, and you'll always be my little boy." Like, oh, that's kind of cute. Like it sort of like elaborates onto the sort of you're my little boy, as in there like he's adopted, so but they're still his parents, and they still love him. And I don't think at this point that they know that he knows, but he definitely knows. But they still love him, and they're great parents.
Yeah, it's nice to see.
Yeah, so it's nice to see that in the cartoon, and then it's also nice to see that they haven't chopped out that part, like they haven't removed that part in the dub that they're like his adoptive parents, because I guess they could kind of chop that out easily. They might just be talking about, oh, what is he hiding from us?
They come up with a completely new secret. Did he know that the dog actually didn't run to a farm upstate?
Yeah, or he doesn't have any friends. Why?
Does he know that he doesn't have any friends? We have to keep it secret.
Does he know that I'm not actually cooking him all these meals? I'm just ordering them for takeout or buying them from the freezer aisle in Safeway.
Trust destroyed.
Yeah, so I'm glad they didn't try to cover that up because it would be easily done. But it's nice to see that they're welcoming all families, well, all heterosexual families. Well, we don't really know if Yamato's parents are straight.
Is
Like
that
we
why
don't
they
we,
broke up?
yeah, we don't know if any of the I mean any of the parents don't have to be straight, but they're all in straight relationships. Like I'm sorry, but
Let's be
Matt's
honest, this is not the time or place for sexuality discussions.
I mean Matt's dad is
Not
kind
the
of a hot
time
dad.
or place.
Okay, so what happens? Digimon, right? Um, so then we see a very exhausted Bakemon, and I thought there might have been a change, but an added silly dialogue, but really he was really saying the same thing. He was exhausted. He doesn't like being a lackey. He's overworked.
Actually, there was one really good change I liked.
What
I'm
was
a
it?
pooped spook.
Yeah, I'm one pooped spook. That was good. But yeah, it was still he wasn't just having a rest. He was actually thinking, man, I'm overworked. And then Taichi comes along and beats him up. He punches a ghost
Oh, and I guess if you punch someone right in the soul, that's basically what happens.
right in the Solomon.
Nope, didn't say that.
Solomon is an evolution from Bakemon, which is basically Bakemon with a hat.
I'm not really happy to hear.
That's oh yeah, he's Do you want to see Bakemon with a hat?
No.
Okay, so anyway, so Sora comes along and she tells Taichi where Vamdemon's holding everyone, and in the Japanese version, she just says, "Oh yeah, he's just holding people there," but in the English version, it's everyone in Odaiba. I think she says everyone in the district, but like it's not really everyone because there are people, who aren't there, I think. But it's most people. So then we go back to we rotate characters again, and Hikari talking to Yamato, and in the original she thinks that Wizardmon's dead, but in the dub they just say that he just got captured. So then Hikari and Yamato are talking, and she wants Yamato to tell her that everything's okay, and he doesn't, so she starts crying.
Crying will solve all of your problems. Don't worry about it.
Which, yeah, as we said before, like, she seems a bit whingier in the dub. I mean, she's still crying in both versions, but
I don't regret clicking the Solomon link. This is kind of the best thing ever.
yeah, right?
It doesn't look real. It looks like someone photoshopped this.
Yeah, it's a wizard's hat on a
No,
Bakemon.
it's a witch's hat.
Wait, no, it's still an adult level. So maybe it doesn't evolve from Bakemon. Maybe it's just a different form of Bakemon.
They're brothers and or sisters. Good job, everybody.
Wow, I'm happy. I'm so glad that I witnessed this.
It was actually really enjoyable. Um, so continue, sorry.
Um, yeah, so then we see Mega Seadramon, and we see how strong he is. He destroys a bridge. He destroys Rainbow Bridge. So, like,
So by Mega
tough.
Seadramon, you mean Slifer the Sky Dragon.
What?
He looks exactly like Slifer the Sky Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh, but with a face mask.
You might have to link me that because I don't know what that is.
Yeah, just 1 second.
I was banned from Yu-Gi-Oh because it was too violent.
But you could watch the thing with the nipple missiles.
No, I got banned from that as well. I got banned from everything because it was too violent.
I guess that explains a lot. All right. Maybe I'm just wrong, but this is what it reminded me of.
Um, um, no, it looks more like another Digimon.
All right. Well, I guess I'm looking forward to seeing that one. And by looking forward to, I mean no, I'm not.
But anyway, so yeah, so then he knocks everyone off. Takeru starts drowning, and he's thinking about Yamato. And then Joe rescues him and gives him a plank. And then in the sub, in the original, he says, "I promised your mum I'd protect you. I have to keep my promise." And then he drowns and his crest activates. But in the dub, he's just like, "Oh, I wouldn't want your mum to worry. You're just a kid. I'm responsible for you." So like, same sort of thing, but it's not linking to that promise because he didn't have a promise. He just says he chopped off my finger or tried to or something.
I find it's really interesting because on one hand, obviously, it justifies an evolution by like reliability, and I can really appreciate that because I told you I mentioned in the synopsis, which was I have no clue how you're meant to make reliability a thing that will come up in a fight. But it's that he made a promise to protect somebody and then he puts himself in danger to do so. So step one of that is really cool, which is that they made a really compelling way for him to make the evolution go. What doesn't make sense about this is that like that is a really weird and unfair prerequisite for your guy to evolve. Like courage just has to do something kind of brave.
Well, his crest is in the original. It's sincerity, but it's also been interpreted as faith or honesty.
I get that, but that doesn't make it better that he has like an unfair thing he has to make go. Everyone else like love is really easy because you feel that for your Digimon anyway, and it just comes up naturally.
What about purity?
Yeah, that was also, but that one, to be honest, I think they bullshitted that one pretty hard.
Well, it's her being, yeah, as I said, it's genuine. It's being like genuine feelings and like being honest to your like also her crest had activated before, so I think that it wasn't really needing that much of a full activation because we saw it fully activate in Princess Karaoke because it reacted to her being honest to her feelings and to everyone, and not being selfish and stuff. So I don't think her crest really activated in Flower Power because it was already activated. It basically just activated again for her being pure of heart, and it was sort of an easier activation because it already activated. But Joe's hadn't. This is like we hadn't seen Joe's activate yet.
What I'm saying is
Sure.
that if Joe had protected TK without having specifically made a promise to do so first, would his thing not have activated?
I think it would still activate because he still saved him. He was still being faithful and reliable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm. But yeah, so in the dub, TK talks during the end of Zudamon's evolution and says, "Oh, who's that?" And then Patamon says, "Oh, well, I was wondering where he'd finally show up." And I love Patamon so much. I wish I could do a proper, wish I could imitate him better. But yeah, he'd say, "Oh, wow, I was wondering when he'd finally show up." Um, like, did you know Patamon? Did you know all the evolutions and what they look like? Did you know? Did you?
Well, he wanted to know when Ikakama would evolve. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And because if of all of them, it makes sense for Patamon to think about evolution a lot.
Also, yeah, Zudamon's basically Thor with like fur, by the way.
I think it's interesting that you've got this like Norse thing going on, and then they change it away from being Norse in the English. It goes from being Thor's hammer to Vulcan hammer or something like
Mm.
that.
Yep. Yeah. So in the dub, Joe says that Zudamon is breaking through the fog when it's actually just his crest. So I don't know why he's saying that Zudamon does it when it's obviously his crest, and we've seen that crests can do that. Like later on, Mimi's crest wakes her up when she's like been put asleep by Vamdemon. And like, I mean, Vamdemon puts me asleep too. Like, so no, I'll just kill the children. But yeah, anyway. So yeah, that's the thing that happened. Yeah, Mecha Seigramon got defeated. They find Wizardmon, and another switch to character. Koshiro is looking for around Fuji TV for the others, and he's rescued by Matt's dad. Hot man in cupboard. So then Sora finds the others, and oh, this is the best part in the episode. I have to brace myself for this. All right, Phantomon comes with Tuskmon and Snowmon and says,
Say hello to Tuskmon and watch out. Avoiding his razor-sharp horns is no easy task. Sorry. And here's the second member of our tag team. Snymon, a deadly praying mantis Digimon, which is so appropriate because you're all about to become his prey.
It's awful.
yeah.
I hate him. I hate him so much.
So this is just instead of the narrator doing the Digimon analyzer. And also just so we know that Phantomon's a ghost, he goes, "Whoa!"
I'm
a
a
lot.
ghost.
Like, ghost, so he goes, "Whoa!"
Also, I noticed that what's it called? Okay, first of all, actually, I want to talk about Tuskmon. So it's called Tuskmon, but it doesn't have tusks, and
No easy tusk.
and also its attack is something about knuckles. So actually, no part of it is correct. I don't know why it's called Tuskmon. It's really confusing.
No, he's got tusks coming out of his back.
No, tusks are specifically long teeth that come from your mouth. I looked it up just to make sure.
Oh, okay then. Yeah. So
uh,
yeah,
so he
I
doesn't
have
have
to.
tusks, and also I noticed that the other Digimon is just Scyther, just a Pokemon. It's just
Yeah,
what I do like
he's
about
cool.
this fight is that at some stage, I believe it's Phantomon, throws a chain at Matt and like wraps it around his neck.
Yep.
And so for the first time, I think in the entire series, Digimon attacks one of the kids instead of their Digimon.
Yeah, because guess what happens if the kid dies? I'm assuming the Digimon's not going to be too powerful.
Nope. So like he has a legitimately smart plan, and for the first time ever.
Yeah, because guess what? Like we've established that Phantomon should be the big bad because he also says, I don't want to disagree with the master, but we should kill the children."
Yeah,
I love Phantomon
I'm
so
really
much.
glad they eventually got there and decided that yes, murdering the children is probably a good plan.
Yep. So Garurumon and Matt are losing. Bergermon evolves and starts losing. Yamato's being choked, and like Hikari yells, "No!" And the crest at Wizardmon starts glowing. She gives herself in, and Phantomon, "I love you so much." He says, "Well, what a refreshingly helpful attitude." Whoa.
Whoa!
And then so I also noticed that there's more clip moving. So there's this at the end of this episode ends with Taichi arriving at the convention center where everyone is, and he's just sort of looking around the corner, looking grumpy. But I think in the English version they moved it to earlier in the episode, so the end, like the next time on Digimon Digital Monsters, is the Hikari being taken up in the little
In the bubble.
bubble, which looks like Teddymon's bubbles actually.
Well, his were hearts.
Yeah, but they remind me of them.
Yeah, I guess. It's weird that this is another one of the situations of just like Digimon developing weird powers that are completely meaningless.
What did you think of this episode as someone who was new to Digimon?
It was fine. I mean, a lot goes on, and I kind of like. I appreciate the activity because again, so much stuff happens in this show where you go, nothing is happening, nothing is happening, and the show has no plans to make anything happen. But at the same time, I don't think a lot went on, but nothing was really achieved. More is achieved in the next episode, in my opinion. Despite that, it's mostly fighting. Whereas in this one, it was just really just like people talking about stuff.
Yeah. So, how did it compare to what you thought about this episode prior to watching it?
What did I don't remember what I said in the synopsis.
I think you just
Unfortunately,
said that the Joe's crest activation would be pretty mediocre, and this episode would be like all right. I think I can't remember.
yeah, that strikes me as probably correct.
We really should start paying attention to when
Oh,
we
it's because
say.
we did it. We said it like on Tuesday.
Yeah, so I think we should like make notes like while we're doing that, just so we know more to talk about. But I guess like people who had just listened to this episode will already know because they would have listened to Obnoxious Synopsis like 40 minutes ago or something.
Yeah, it's just within the same episode.
Yeah. So yeah, I know for sure that you said that you wouldn't like Joe's crest activation, I think.
Yeah, and it wasn't amazing.
But it was better than you thought, I thought
It
you
was.
said.
It was impressive that they managed to swing it to make sense. But at the same time, I don't think that fight was that interesting, and I don't think it furthered the plot at all. It was a hazard that was introduced and then disposed of.
So what differences did you notice and did you think that they were justified?
Primarily, I noticed that Hikari was super annoying. Like, would just be really awful. Not awful, but just way, way, way whinier, and just I got really sick of her really fast. Which, well, I get it. I guess the classic is, oh, you know, she's a child, and that's how children are.
No, but she's more annoying than just a child.
Yeah, I think so too.
Episode 37, Vamdemon is still going through the children. Pico Devimon arrives and says, "Oh, look, we found the 8th child." Well, he says, "I found the 8th child," which is a lot. Or maybe it was just in the English version, but in one version he definitely says, "Oh, I found the 8th child." So he puts the kids to sleep, and it almost sounds like he's going to eat them. He says, "Oh, I'll savor them for later," which like he's super going to eat them. But in the dub, he's just saying, "Oh, I'll find a way to deal with them." So like it's still pretty ominous, but it doesn't sound like it's not definitely I'm going to savor them for later, as in I'm going to eat the children.
I don't know. You should probably eat the children.
So Mimi's crest wakes her up, and for some reason I've just written "too OP, please nerf." And so Tai comes in and beats up more Bakemon for some reason, and he says in the dub, "They didn't stand a ghost of a chance," because they're ghosts, and it's the saying, "Ghost of a chance."
It's the worst saying.
And then Koshiro explains Digimon to Matt's dad. He notices, and then Yamato's dad's like a Kansai dialect because he notices that Tentomon's speaking a Kansai dialect. So first of all, like this episode has a lot of references to Japanese stuff, and there are Japanese puns. Yeah, did you notice the Japanese puns? Like we'll talk about them more later, but a lot of references to Japanese.
There was a notes thing, like one of the sub notes about Nanimon later.
Oh yeah, because when Imato's dad sees Garurumon, he says nane like something Nani Mono, which means like basically, who are you? What are you? But it also sounds like he says, "Nani, are you Nanimon?" And then Garurumon says, "No, I'm not Nanimon. I'm Garurumon."
Which I totally don't get, and obviously you need to change. A lot of this Japanese stuff, while interesting, like you can't put it in a dub. It's impossible.
Yeah, so they're basically just making him he's freaking out and saying, "Who are you?" Even though he's like much more relaxed. Well, comparatively to how you should be when you see a giant blue wolf standing next to your son.
Are you saying that you wouldn't be freaked out if a giant blue wolf was standing next to your child?
I'd be excited because they say Digimon.
That no, but you don't know what they are.
Well, if I didn't know what they were, I'd be freaked out. Yes,
Exactly.
but but he seems cooler than a cucumber.
I'm a cool dad.
No, he is though. He is the hot dad. That's his character.
I say hot
Anyway,
dad. I say cool dad.
yeah, no, he's the hot dad. So then Joe and TK are talking to Wizardmon, and he says, "I have to give this to Hikari." And then Joe and TK go, "To light? Like what light? What light are you talking about?" So they're literally making the joke of her name's Hikari. She has a crest of Hikari. But in the dub, this is just
Well, they realize based on that joke, they go, "Wait a minute. Wait, are you saying Hikari's the eighth child?"
Yeah, but in the dub, they basically go, "Wait, who's Hikari? We don't know Hikari." So they basically make them forget the name of Kari because they don't want to make a joke that wouldn't make sense, which I guess is fair enough. Like, what else would they put there? Like I guess they could be more bewildered. Like, say, "Wait, you mean?" They could have said, "Oh, wait, you mean Ty's little sister first?" But I guess their reaction was more confused than that. So that to make them forget who Hikari was, I guess. Well, Kari, I guess,
Well,
the dub.
yeah. Also, like the crest of light doesn't mean as much in English.
Mm,
Not his sister's not named Light. This isn't Death Note.
mm. So then we go back to the children who are with Yamato and Tekeru, Joe, and Wizamon approach them. Wizamon first of all, Tekeru and he hugs his dad, and I think that was really cute. Anyway, so Wizamon revives Lilymon, and in the dub, Lilymon gets up and says, "Hi, yeah," which sort of implies that she's about to like hit, but in the original, it doesn't seem like she's gonna fight.
But the defensive stance they take kind of
Yeah,
justifies their concern about violence.
yeah. So Tekeru's still saying, "Don't, well, wait, don't attack him," even in the original, but it didn't seem that Lilymon was going to fight. It's just that I guess he was being a bit preemptive. He was saying straight away, "Don't worry, he's good," even though I don't think Lilymon, I don't think it crossed her mind yet to beat up Wizardmon.
I don't know. Like at this stage, I think we've all discovered that violence is in fact the answer.
Yeah. So then Hikari's brought to Vamdemon, and then he says, "Why did you reveal yourself?" And she says, "You're hurting everyone." And this is more or less the same in the dub as well as the original.
That's nice and heroic.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like you shouldn't hurt people because hurting people's bad.
Oh no, not hurting people.
So then Tailmon pretends not to know her until Pico Devimon pulls Hikari's hair, and then Tailmon goes, "No, Hikari!" And it's really kind of cute because her reaction just she seems kind of caring and it's cute.
In English, this bit is so much worse.
Oh,
Like it's really interesting actually in Japanese because nothing happens. Um, but in English, she goes, "I don't know who this is. That's not the eighth child." And Kari just goes like, "Huh?" Like she's confused. Like, what do you mean? Of course I am.
Hmm.
Where you'd imagine that she would be, I don't know, more readily happy to like support the lie, which would be ideal, obviously, because it's stopping her from dying.
Yeah,
I don't know. I found it frustrating, is all.
I kind of find all of it cute, but I guess I really like Digimon.
It's true. You do like Digimon a lot. I was there.
Yeah. All the others find Vamdemon and they all attack, but they don't really do much. Blows them away, and until Wizardmon attacks Vamdemon from behind, and then he throws Hikari her crest. Then Taichi and Mimi arrive, and then Tai throws her Digivice. Pico, and then because she holds it up in the air like an idiot, Pico Devimon grabs
Oh
it
my
from her.
god, I love that. She just holds it up there, and then the Devil Ball shows up, and she's like, "I'm gonna keep holding it up."
All right, so I'm just gonna pause for a second, and I just want everyone to know that because I'm using Evernote, to keep my notes. Evernote has a weird autocorrect, and it doesn't like some of the words. So like we've had some pretty bad ones throughout this, which I've just sort of almost said but stumbled over. So first of all, it says Tight throws her digitize,
Amazing.
and then Metal Grapemon does nothing. None of their attacks do anything. So yeah, Metal Grapemon,
Go Metal Greatmon.
the best Digimon. But yeah, continue. I just had to point that out that it said Metal Grapemon.
I was just talking about how Kari's a huge idiot. Just hold it up. The Devil Ball shows up, and she's like, "I'm gonna keep holding it. Oh,
Yep.
I'm not gonna hold it tightly enough though that that he can't just take it right out of my hand, because I'm stupid."
So then Patamon looks at TK, they nod at each other, and basically Patamon, he doesn't say this, but I know, like, he thought it. He was like, well, better go frickin' single-handedly save everyone again. So he evolves for the third time ever. And this actually, like, hurts Vamdemon. Also, what I've noticed is in the Japanese version, the end of his evolution always ends with church bells. I
Oh,
guess they could afford to add it because it only happens, like, probably less than 10 times in the whole series. But
but it's not
yeah,
about affording to add it. It's about affording to take it away.
I mean, in the original they kept it. Yeah, they have it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I noticed that they, because I listened for it in the dub, and they don't have it. They just have the usual Digimon sounds in background and screeching. But yeah, his attack actually hurts Vamdemon because I'm pretty sure at this point we know that Angemon is stronger than all the champions, well,
Angemon is
adults.
strongest one of all.
And that's why he's only evolved 3 times. Not that it could be useful or anything.
No, there's no way.
Yeah, at all. I guess it makes sense because I think Patamon understands how distraught TK was, and that's why he hasn't evolved much. And I think that's why they had to look at each other. Like with any of the other kids, we don't have. There's not an agreement of should I digivolve? Yes, I should digivolve. It's more of a sort of Ogumon, you have to digivolve sort of thing. But this is more of a should I? Yes, you should. Sort of like a you can do it. Like they seem like they talk about it more because of the fact that he died. So
Yeah,
yeah,
his death was so weird too, because his death kind of confirms that he was this really terrible oh God, what's the word? Uh when you give backstory.
It's Chekhov's gun.
No. It starts with an E. It's not extrapolate. Oh God, I said it last episode. Um,
Yeah, I don't know either.
he was a really like terrible exposition machine,
Oh right, yeah.
and that's all his purpose was. And now that he's done, just get rid of him. We don't need him anymore.
Mm. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, but
Uh,
it I think I appreciate when Patamon evolves more because it doesn't often happen.
hmm,
Like I think I say, oh yeah, Patamon's evolving. It's always like it's more meaningful because it doesn't happen often.
I guess it's gonna be, I guess, double meaningful when he gets the ultimate perfecty, whatever.
Yeah, hope you like waiting.
Yeah, I assumed it would take a really long time.
Yeah, because I guess Angemon took a long time. So Vamdemon aims his attack at Hikari. Wizardmon jumps in the way. So then there's a clip of Hikari screaming with the dead Wizardmon's reflection in her eyes, and this is cut out. So her Digivice reacts. Pico Devimon drops it because I guess he didn't have a good grip on it either. And then Ty throws it back to him. Vamdemon says, no! Or in the English version, no, not her! And then Tailmon evolves, and my goodness, I love Joe's face. Like, he's just, like, biting on his nails, and everyone just sort of looks like, ah, and they're sort of blank-faced. But he's actually, like, he's got his mouth open, he's going, ah!
No.
And, then when Angelwoman, who is Tailmon's evolution, says, Vamdemon, why are you doing this? You are bad. And Vamdemon says, it is my destiny to combine the human world with the digital world and plunge the world into darkness so I can be the ruler of both worlds. And Myodismon says, I'm a vampire. I am going to turn the human world dark.
I'm a
And
vampire. Blah.
bleh. But I'm just going to rule the digital world and become the digital world's king. So I'm just like, okay. But yeah, so in the Japanese version, it's like straight up he wants to combine both worlds. in the English version, you're just like, I'm going to just like destroy this world and then just become the king of the digital world. It's like, why?
Seems
So
reasonable.
then Angelwoman uses an attack that basically restores the strength to all the other Digimon, but for some reason in the dub they say, okay, let's all transfer our power to Angelwoman, even though they're just attacking.
I thought that was so weird. It's like shoot your missiles into the void and they'll become energy somehow.
All right,
And why
so
don't they do that all the
yeah,
time?
well
Is
they
it
have
only
they do they do at some point in the 7 series of Digimon combine attacks.
is it like only because you have a healer in the party now?
Well, I
That
guess that's kind of a thing. Like she's basically like a paladin-y sort of. I like her. She's pretty. She has pretty hair and pretty face. And again, she has the mask. So then she fires an arrow and it pierces through Vamdemon's chest and he dies.
fantastic.
So then the Fuji building's ball drops, falls off. So I'm going to call this episode AngelCatlateral Damage because I thought that was funny. I don't care if no one else does because
It's not funny. You are right.
it's kind of like collateral damage, but it's cat lateral damage.
You mean
But
like the game called Cat
yes,
Lateral
I
Damage?
know, but I was like, no, I have to make it one step further. So it's angel cat lateral damage because Angel Woman is an angel,
Did
and
you
that is my
know?
joke.
Do you know what makes things not funny? When you have to fully explain the joke.
You know what makes things not funny?
What?
Your voice.
Oh.
Oh, I did it. Yeah, but yeah, so unless you can think of a better title, it's going to be called that.
I don't really care.
But basically, yeah, I name all the episodes because I'm the one who edits them. In case you haven't noticed, so any of the bad jokes or things that you haven't been like get the reference of, you can just blame me.
Yes, do not blame me. It's very
Also,
important.
if you ever, if anyone ever wants to suggest titles for any of the episodes before we record them, maybe if they're funny enough, I will be so lazy or just say, yeah, that I can't be bothered thinking of a title, and yeah, so that'll be nice. Yeah. Anyway, so in the Japanese version, they'll say, "Oh yeah, we won," and then Hikari says, "But wait, the fog remains." But in the dub, Kari says, "Wait, but the fog's getting bigger." And then Joe wonders if they've somehow made Myotismon stronger. And then the narrator said something about something spoilery in the English version.
Yeah, I I I don't know what is going on at the end.
So yeah, the English version talks more about it, but the Japanese version doesn't. So I guess we don't know what's going to happen next because the Japanese version doesn't say,
In
unless you watch the next time on, which I instructed Jay not to.
in canon, you're not meant to know things.
Yeah.
Just
So,
pretend.
what do you think of this episode as someone who is new to Digimon?
Look, there's so much fighting. The fight is so long, but at least it accomplishes the end of. You know what? I complained about Devimon, but at least I understood his plan. At least I got it. At
Mm,
least it totally made sense. But holy crap, I was so sick of it by this point.
yeah, we'll talk about his motivations next episode.
Yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. So, how did this episode compare to what you thought before watching this episode?
Uh, God, it's. I think in my head it was just. I think was all perfect's the name in the synopsis,
It was
or
Perfect's attack together, sparkling
there.
Angel Woman.
See, in the subtitle I had, the subtitle usage I had said all perfects attack together, which would have been completely different. And I've gone, okay, they all evolved to perfect, and then we've had a whole discussion about Patamon becoming perfect level, which would have
Yeah.
been wrong. But at the same time, uh, I assumed it was just Angel Woman and Angelmon, and so I was obviously surprised by how many dudes evolved, and if I'd known that, obviously the fight would have been much longer. I would have guessed.
Also, if like just we know that Angemon's stronger. How strong would Angemon's perfect be though?
It's unfair. It is unfair how strong he is comparatively.
Yeah. So, what difference did you notice, and did you think they were justified?
Uh, I don't think I saw a lot of differences.
Yeah, there were not a lot of different. That's why we
Uh,
probably breezed through the episode in
it
like half the amount of time we covered it for episode 36.
I guess the big one is that um besides that Kari is kind of stupid when Tailmon is trying to act like she's not the eighth child. Um,
Just kind of like, what about me?
she's like,
But you
huh?
do know
What?
me.
Um, just it might be just because it's English voice acting, because the line's pretty much the same, but it's when Izzy's talking to Matt's dad about the Digimon. In Japanese they're not kaiju. They're these things called Digimon, and they're our friends. Like some of them are our friends, some of them are not, and he kind of explains it. But when he's talking in English, he's like, those aren't monsters, those are our friend monsters."
No, precisely. They are called digital monsters. Like they always make him so pretentious in everything he
It's like,
says.
it's those aren't monsters, they're Digimon, which like
Yeah, well,
it
Digimon to be
it's a
precise.
big it's a problem that Digimon is a proper noun. It's not something that has a meaning to it, not to an average person. When you say that's not a monster, that's a Digimon, that is a meaningless sentence. Um, and he sounds like a completely insane person, and Matt's dad sounds like a huge idiot when he's just like, "Well, I guess I'll take your word for it, 10-year-old child."
Yeah.
All
And
right.
also the ending part they changed a bit from the fog's remaining, and for some reason they say that the fog is getting bigger,
Mm.
which it's
Well,
not. It's remaining.
I get that one at least. Getting bigger is a threat, but I guess in the future that's going to come back at you, like, "Oh, you screwed up."
What episode do you think was better? In the obnoxious synopsis, you said that the second episode would be better. What do you think? I mean, I think that's what you said.
I think I recall that. So, but I think I also said I didn't have that much to go on. In the end, while the first one's pacing was better, I think more was achieved in the second, and I actually appreciate that overall because I think the series has a problem of not getting to the point ever.
The
So,
pacing was definitely good in the first one.
I think the first one was a big setup, and then it paid off nothing.
Well,
Whereas
it paid
this,
off a bunch of fights.
yeah, well, here was a one big fight. And honestly, as much as I don't like the fighting in this show because I think it's pointless most of the time, uh, what I want, if I had to choose, I'd pick one big fight over three small fights because I would prefer the fights not to be pointless. If they have a point to them, that's fine. But I found that almost none of them in the first episode did.
What? It,
Especially the one with Zudamon in it, which makes that transformation really sad
mm,
because there was no necessity to that fight. There was no reason for a thing to be on the bridge, and I get how that sounds, which is to say, oh, Joe never had to end up in the diner, and they never had to have that fight. But that was an enemy plan, at least. That made sense. This was a D&D random encounter. You're walking through the woods and are attacked by random brigands.
mm.
If they weren't there, the story wouldn't change at all. There's no impact of this. You could have skipped forward and lost nothing.
So, what did you think about Wizardmon's death? Because I know in obnoxious synopsis, something you did say was you'd say, "Well, I really doubt that it's this, but I bet like he sacrifices himself, and that's what makes
I forgot I said
Angemon
that.
evolve."
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
So
I
you full on
called
like,
it
yeah,
perfect.
yeah, perfect. Get it? Because she's a perfect. So
Oh,
yeah,
that's
because
so
what you said
good.
was like along the lines of,
Oh,
I
it's
don't
so
think this is going to be
godlike.
what happens, but
Oh,
this
amazing.
happens, and I was like, oh, do you want that to happen? You said no.
Yeah, and you know what? That's exactly my stance right now. And Wizardmon was one of the most competent Digimon around because he was just magic, and also like uh, his death proves that he was an exposition machine. He was a guy to hold a crest and a digivice and to move it around and to accomplish nothing. What his position is reducing the amount of stuff that Gatomon needs to do independently.
Mm.
Like that's it. And it's his death proves that he's a narrative device, not a character, which sucks because he could have been very interesting.
I would have liked to see Wizardmon, walking along with them for the rest of the season, being in season two. I like him as a character. Like I
Because
wish they would have kept him as a character.
it is established now that he never ever does or says anything that isn't directly related to Gatomon.
Yeah, well, that's basically why he's there. He's there to make Gatomon evolve because he's like He's basically Garamon's first and only until Hikari friend.
Yeah, this is I think he's a fairly good example of, despite it being I want to talk about, I don't say opposite gender because they're Digimon and it's confusing, but uh, it's a slightly different sexy lamp situation.
Hmm.
Um, well, is it sexy? Or is it? It might be woman in the fridge. I don't know. It's one of those tropes.
Yeah.
Um, it's definitely the fridge one.
Like, they do seem to really want to give these 8-year-olds PTSD by having, like, their friends die in front of them. Because, Tekadu's Digimon died in front of him. Um,
Hey, have you ever
Hikari's
killed an
Digimon.
eight-year-old's friends? It's really satisfying.
Oh, Jesus. All right. All right. So, right. So we met some, moving on, we met some Digimon in these episodes.
Whole
So,
bunch.
first of all, we have Mega Seadramon.
It's Life of the Sky Dragon.
Is that it?
Look, it's a giant snake with a mask. If everything I said about Seadramon totally applies to this thing as well,
All
but
right.
now it has a bridge attached to it.
So I guess listen to episode 2 if you want to hear about what Jay thinks about Seadramon.
It's true, you should do that.
All right. So what about Zudomon?
Um, I don't know, Zoomon, his design's really awkward. I don't know what it is. I kind of don't like it.
But how does it measure up to what you thought Zudomon would look like when I asked you?
Totally don't remember what I said.
You
Was
said basically Ikakumon but with metal strapped to him, also with a hammer.
That's almost correct. He gets a shell, and I would never have seen that coming. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
Damn you all to Shell.
Damn you all the shell. I don't think he's that interesting compared to his design. I don't want to say he's busy because it's not busy, not especially not compared to say like Metal Greymon or anything, or Wegurumon, whose design makes no sense whatsoever. Um, but yeah, he's just not amazingly interesting, which is what I want. I want him to be really interesting, but it's not. I don't know. It's just sad. Um, okay, that's the next episode. All right.
Right,
Did we
so
see? We saw a bunch of others, though, didn't we?
yeah, I know. I'm just waiting. I was just waiting for you to talk about Zudomon. So the next one is Tuskmon.
Tuskmon, besides him being really weirdly named because he doesn't have tusks,
It's no easy tusk.
like he just doesn't have tusks, and it actually gets to me that he just. Why is he called that?
And what about Sneemon? I love
I
Phantomon.
swear it's just Scyther. It's
Yeah, but he flies. He's Flyther. Like, I don't think Scyther can actually fly. Oh, I don't know. I can't remember. Can Scyther fly?
yeah, he's got wings.
Can he learn fly?
He's got little. I don't know. Maybe.
I know, but I think Snymon's scarier. Scyther's cute. I would want to cuddle with Scyther. I wouldn't want to cuddle with Snymon. He's scary. He would go.
Sure,
He's
that's
scary.
exactly what he would do.
No, he's scary. He looks like green Kawagamon but thin. So what about Angelmon?
That woman's cool. Like, she's Angemon, and I would enter a whole thing about why they're the same, but we've already gone into like Light and Hope being related, so
Yeah, and
I
like
get
she's
that.
basically girl,
And
pretty Angelmon.
as I've said
Angelmon.
before, the face thing, if it because it's religiously based, all of a sudden you've got this face mask on for like no.
Thank you so much for pointing that out to me because I never noticed that until like when I started watching Digimon with you and you said, "Wow, how come all the holy ones have their face covered?" And I was like, "Oh God."
It's just that like it happened twice, and I don't know why. Yeah, I have no base point for why it happens.
Arguably, Vamdemon has his face covered, kind of. You can see his eyes, but it's got a red like bandana.
Van-
Maybe he's holy.
No, no, it's specifically this big metal plate
Yeah, yeah.
with like a cross usually, and sometimes big googly eyes.
Oh gosh, I cannot unsee that now. I've seen that picture of him.
It's just that it's slightly lighter colored as well.
Yeah, they do like the things on his helmet do look a bit like googly eyes. So join us next time on How I Met Your Digimummy. We watch Prophecy, and I'm not going to read either of the Japanese titles because they're too spoilery. And obviously, I won't in the obnoxious synopsis, but I will read them out at the start of episode 20. So yeah. And what's the other one, Jay?
The other one is The Battle for Earth.
Yeah, so that's great. So I forgot to say this earlier, but if you want to contact us, we're lostintranslationmon@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Tumblr, Facebook. We've got a thread on With the Will. You can comment on this episode, or you can message us on SoundCloud, and we'd really appreciate it if you reviewed us on iTunes or Stitcher. And the show notes will be linked in the description. And we'll see you next week for the end of the real world arc. Bye bye. Also, the battery is 9%, so notice the lack of rush this time. Yay.
Good job, everybody.
See you guys.